Welcome everybody to another episode of Cryptid Conversations. I'm your host, Brother Blue. With me today are my esteemed panel of cryptozoologists. My wonderful co-host for this week, since she won last week, the birthday girl, Michelle Drinks Coffee. And next to me, Jasper from the Pacific Northwest, and Torsten all the way across the pond. Today's topic: cryptid creatures of the water from around the world. So today's topic being cryptid creatures from around the world from the water that are water based. Let's get into this. Michelle, since you won last week, you're going to be first up on the list. So what cryptid creature have we found this week?
So I have decided to put on a little bit of my Texas roots here.
Okay.
I'm going to leave Virginia for a little bit, go back to my non-birth state where I was raised, and we're going to talk about the Lake Worth monster. So, Texas folklore. The Lake Worth monster was first sighted in 1969. It is part man, part goat, part long scaled fingers. It's a very interesting description. Very interesting description.
Welcome in, everybody.
Lake Worth is about 30 miles from where I was raised in East Texas. So I had heard about this multiple times, and every time you drive over Lake Worth, someone's always got to do the thing from the backseat of the car. Oh, look, it's the Lake Worth monster. Yeah. No, yeah. I've never seen it. I don't know anybody who's ever seen it. So let's just look at the history of the first sighting. So reports of the sightings from local citizens of the half man, half goat with fur and scales started in 1969 July, where newspapers reported that the local person named Alan Plaster was driving at night and saw a thing, and he described it as the half man, half goat. Yeah. It's also, if you're familiar with that area of Texas, it's also very close to where the Goatman Bridge is.
Thus the whole goat motif.
Yeah, the whole goat thing.
We'll get into Goatman in another episode.
Yeah, so there's not much about it, but what caught my eye is just the varied different monster pieces that got put together. The Frankenstein monster of this half man, half goat. Also, it has fur, and then there's scales. It also has these like crazy fingers and what are those things called? The claws. Okay. And then like I said, I grew up in that area. So when I went to like camps and stuff that are along Lake Worth or in that same area, all the camp counselors would do this whole like, everyone listen carefully. You'll hear the cries of the Lake Worth monster. Oh yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Also, my final note of the Lake Worth monster is every October, since I remember, we have always gone to the Lake Worth Monster Bash.
There's a Lake Worth Monster Bash. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's super fun. The Fort Worth area just kind of like really, they lean into it kind of heavy. It's our Nessie, like.
Okay. But doing good, Wildcat. Welcome in.
It's just a fun little cryptid. There's not much to it because it's only been sighted a few times and mostly by drunk people. Let's just call it what it is.
Definitely one of those strange cryptids.
Yeah. So that's really all I have. Any questions or comments about the Lake Worth monster?
Okay. Well, all right. I have a question. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the Lake Worth monster, okay, now, does it go on land? Is it strictly water based?
Strictly water based.
Strictly water based. So this weird goat creature with fur and scales is only in the water.
So I will have to take a none of the reports have ever said that it has been seen on land.
Okay.
It has only been seen in the water. But from the people who've tried to describe it, it was because of the pieces that were above the water, like the face. It had a little bit of a hairy kind of fur goat looking face, which is why it's being described as fur. But there's also some scaly pieces that were seen on what could be considered a tail.
Okay.
So no confirmed sightings of a land-based Lake Worth monster.
Interesting. All right. Anybody else got anything for the Lake Worth monster? Anybody else want to say anything? We're just gonna sit here. Come on, guys. This is a panel. We're supposed to talk.
There's me. I'm talking, but my mic was muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep your mic down so you can actually talk.
It sounds like a bit of a weird one.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, which makes it fun.
I think this is more so like, instead of a cryptid creature, I think it's more so just folklore.
But when you're talking about cryptids, you're also talking about folklore.
Well, that's a good point. A lot of cryptid creatures have a basis in folklore, so it totally depends on your.
Yeah, I mean, Lake Worth monster doesn't have your same level of intrigue as say our Torsten's buddy Nessie out there, or even Bigfoot or the Yeti, or all of these wonderful things like good old Chupa Chups down there in Texas, little Chupacabra, like.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what those are, but
true.
Realistically, you got to be an East Texan to know about the Lake Worth monster. I grew up there, so for me, it was the Bigfoot of East Texas.
There is Bigfoot in East Texas.
But it was my Bigfoot because that's where I lived. We didn't have forests. I'm from like the flat ass nowhere East Texas.
And there's still Bigfoot down in East Texas.
Whatever. What?
Come on, you're talking to a Bigfoot right now. I'm telling. Don't. You may be co-host this week.
Therefore, it is my determination that you can hush, sir.
You know what? I'm gonna let it slide. Your birthday's coming up. You're getting a little round. Anyway,
3 days. 3 days. 3 days.
All right. Next up, our previous champion, Jasper. What do you got for us today?
I'm going to be talking about the Dragon of Lake Chelan here in Washington.
Ooh.
Okay, let's go for it.
For over 200 years, there have been legends told of a great monster that lives in the depths of Lake Chelan. These stories, once passed around the campfire before bedtime by locals and natives alike, paint a consistent picture of the beast that dwells in Lake Chelan. This first story is going to be from the homesteader's perspective. Originally, it was rumored to have been brought over from Fort Augustus, Scotland, when a Scotsman took a treasure chest from the fort where his father was a soldier, and it was assumed that the chest was filled with gold and other riches, and set out on sea on a long journey.
Mm-hmm.
However, its true contents were discovered by the captain and crew during a mysterious and violent storm off the coast of Washington in 1812. Somehow the ship was transported to what is now known as Lake Chelan. The ship was under great stress and tossed violently in the storm, and the chest and its contents were washed overboard into the water below. The captain, not willing to lose his mysterious prize, dove into the water after it. He held onto the treasure chest, and it took him quickly down to the depths of the nearly 1,500-foot deep lake. Unknown to the crew, 2 female stowaways were on board who kept watchful eyes on the chest, stewards to its precious contents. Do we all know what stewards are? All right. The women also jumped in after the chest, and as they hit the water, the crew watched with disbelief as it appeared in their feet transformed into fish-like fins as they breached, then dove into the water. Mermaids. One went after the chest, and the other after the captain. The captain was taken to the shore, and the chest was allegedly taken deep down into the underwater cavern, where its contents, an egg, cracked open and the hatchling emerged. The creature resurfaced in 1892, according to a local newspaper. An unidentified young man was bathing in the lake when some very sharp jaws locked onto his legs. The man screamed for help, and two of his friends tried to pull him out, but the hungry monster had other plans. After a life and death game of tug of war, the men dragged their friend onto the beach with the creature still clamped onto the legs. The thing had the legs and the body of an alligator, and the head and eyes of a snake with a scaly bat-like wings. I do have a visual aid for that.
Aww.
I didn't do a very good job on the head, so I have this previous drawing of mine. I feel like the head would probably look more like that. And though its skin was soft as velvet, the beast was impossible to kill. The men attacked the monster with knives, rocks, and sticks to no avail. The creature was not letting it go. Eventually, they built a fire and dragged the dragon over the flames. That got a reaction, a bad one. The dragon flapped its wings and soared into the air with the man still in its mouth. Suddenly, it dove into the lake, disappearing along with its victim. And then here's a story from the Native American side of things. Legends go back to the native people of the Pacific Northwest, much like the legends of the dragon monster that hid in the shadows of the Ribbon Cliff on the Columbia River. Natives told stories about the monster that was located within the deep water sea land, which is Lake Chelan. Early Indians were very wary of canoeing in the deep Lake Chelan, for fear of the monster that they called, I'm going to horribly mispronounce this, Nahahahat Kuh.
Oh yeah, totally. That's an easy one.
Long ago, there was great struggles between the good and the bad spirits of the Chelan Valley. An evil spirit in the form of a large serpent would come out of the Chelan River without warning and destroy the homes of the people up and down the valley. At other times, it appeared and scared away all the animals and fish. This left Indians without food for long periods of time. The good spirit finally decided to put up a rock barrier at the lower end of the valley that would dam the river, trapping the serpent and killing it. Unfortunately, the monster did not die, but became enraged instead. The serpent slashed his way up the valley, killing all the Indians except for one lone girl picking berries at the top of the valley. The rising water left her stranded and she eventually died. However, before she died, she painted the story of her life on the rock walls. The stories have never been translated, but can be seen at Stehekin, where the lake level is low. Stehekin is a small unincorporated community in Chelan County, Washington. And a more recent story, on November 26, 1945, the driver of a Lake Chelan school bus carrying 20 young students and a woman skidded off the lakeshore road during a snowstorm and plunged down into a 30-foot embankment into the Lake Chelan. The woman and 5 children managed to escape through the broken windows and reach the shore, but the driver and 15 students drowned in the icy waters. 2 bodies were recovered soon after the accident, but the bus and the remaining 14 victims disappeared. After searching for a week, Navy divers finally found the bus precariously sitting on a ledge in more than 200 feet of water. The bus was carefully hoisted onto the surface, but it contains the bodies of only 4 students and the driver. Lake Chelan has a reputation of never yielding the dead of it's dead, and the bodies of the missing 9 victims were never recovered. It is the worst school-related accident in Washington state history. When the divers were brought into the lake in 1945, the bus wasn't found until December 1st, 5 days later. To try and locate and recover the Chelan school bus that plunged into the lake resulted in the loss of almost an entire group of students and the bus driver. Stories were told by some of the divers about an enormous dark shadow type figure that they saw at about 200 feet below lake surface level. One diver said to have been so bothered by what he saw, he refused to go back down.
Yeah, I'm not going in that lake.
Lou, you're muted.
My bad. I muted to give you the
Ah,
courtesy.
So I have comments. I'll
Okay,
let you
go
go
ahead.
first.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Kodo.
Okay.
You win.
So the Lake Chelan dragon is also known as America's Loch Ness monster, whereas Nessie is purported to be a female. The Lake Chelan dragon is purported to be a male. Lake Chelan is the third deepest lake in the United States at 1,500 feet. Its bottom has still never been fully explored
Interesting.
because of the depth of the lake. Ridiculous.
Ooh,
It
I
has
like
been
that.
Lake Chelan has been a tourist attraction since the late 1880s, and tales of the Lake Chelan monster, like Jasper said, go way back to the early indigenous people who lived there. So it's a very interesting story. It has a lot more.
A lot more in
Just
terms of
the stories are like plethora of stories about like sightings or things involving the Lake Chelan dragon. So good choice, Jasper. Good choice.
I'm gonna in agreement. I'm gonna say good choice on a interesting cryptid creature. That dwells in the lake and is the equivalent of Nessie, but for the
Yeah.
New World. Very, very well presented. I appreciate you doing that research and also the drawing.
Thank you.
That was actually quite
I loved it. I
enjoyable.
loved it. 2
Uh,
points.
I 2 points to Gryffindor. Anyway,
I knew you were going to do that. Oh,
oh yeah, I forgot you're a Hufflepuff.
I'm a Slytherin if that helps.
Gryffindor.
Slytherins
Anyway.
and Hufflepuffs get along pretty well.
All right, now on to our Scotsman. Orson,
Alrighty.
you told me earlier you did not do the cryptid creature of your native homeland.
Well, I didn't do the most well-known one.
Okay,
This one does come from my homeland
go for
and
it.
actually shares something in common with old Nessie. Is the fact that it lives in the same bloody lock.
It's in the same lock.
Yes,
Selkie or Kelpie?
it is the Kelpie
Okay,
or
but
the
kelpies
water
reside
Kelpie.
in all locks, supposedly.
Yeah, it is a mystical shape-shifting spirit that inhabits locks in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually described as a grey or white horse-like creature able to adopt human form.
Mhm.
Some accounts state that the Kelpie retains its hooves when appearing in human form, leading to its association with the Christian idea of Satan.
Yep.
As alluded to by Robert Burns in 1786 poem
Dressed to the
Address to the
Devil.
Devil.
Oh, I love that one.
That's a good poem.
Yeah.
Almost every sizable body of water in Scotland has associated Kelpie stories. Most famously, obviously, Loch Ness. It's the most well-known loch in
Pardon me.
Scotland. It does have counterparts around the world, such as the Germanic Nixie, the Waiwin of Central America, and the Australian Bunyip. The origins of the Kelpies are not known, but it's long been said that it was a cautionary tale for children to keep them away from dangerous bodies of water, and warning young women to be wary of handsome strangers, has been noted in other literature as well.
That didn't work. It didn't work. I'm just saying.
No. Now, there are two very famous structures of Kelpies One is in Falkirk. It has two 100-foot metal kelpies. And the other is there are 6 kelpies in the Globe Fountain Shuttle Road near Blantyre, South Lancashire,
Lancashire.
Lanarkshire, not not
Oh,
Lanarkshire or
Lanarkshire.
Lanarkshire in Scotland.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, 2 points for the 100-foot statues of the Kelpies.
They are huge, and people just think that they're horse heads that are not in the know, but there is the information nearby to tell you what they are and the history behind them.
That's pretty dope. I mean,
So,
I've always heard of Kelpies being like,
yeah.
very like they'll drag you down to the depths and bring you to a watery death in their human form. If you recognize them as being different from a human, that's
Mhm.
when they turn back. And in some lore, some of the lore, they have tentacles that
Well,
will
they're
wrap
shape
around
shifters,
you.
so they
Yeah.
can pretty much
Yeah.
take on whatever. I do want to add a little piece of this. So Robert Burns' Address to the Devil is probably one of my favorite Old English styled poems. I want to read you a small snippet of the one of the sections.
Please.
When those dissolve the snowy horde and float the jingling icy board, then water kelpies haunt the ford by your direction, and nighted travelers are allured to their destruction.
They had such beautiful language back then.
Right?
Yeah.
That one's been my favorite for a very long time.
I mean,
So-
honestly, like that just like I don't know, made me feel a
Robert
certain way.
Burns is basically the reason I really wanted to learn how to understand Old English, just to be able to
Oh,
read
yeah.
it and enjoy it. So,
Well, I mean,
Address to the Devil, one of
let's
my
put it this way.
favorites.
We all know me. We all know I'm not like the brightest bulb in the box, but
Sharpest crayon.
listen, when a Marine shares his crayons with you, you count. Anyway, when I was growing up and I was in high school, we read Beowulf in the Old English.
Loved it.
Loved Beowulf in the Old English. And I was one of the few who actually understood what was going on in Old English, where the AP students actually came to me to find out what the hell was going on because they couldn't understand it. So I felt really good about myself.
I was in
Yeah.
AP. I was in AP English junior year when we read Beowulf, and we decided that not only did we want to read it, but we wanted to enact it.
Oh, that's
So
fun.
during
Yeah.
the reading of it, like we had one of our guys in our class was playing Beowulf. I was playing Grendel, like you do. But we were reading their parts and acting it out in the front of the classroom. I've got a picture of it somewhere. I'll have to find it.
So much
But it was I was a high level nerd. Come on, man.
Address to the Devil, lovely, lovely, lovely poem. In the Old
Yeah.
English, it's lovely. It's even better in Scottish Gaelic.
I'm sure you think it's better in Scottish Gaelic.
Because everything's better in
You know what?
Scottish to him. Come on.
I'm gonna rewrite it in Texan. Hey y'all.
Hey, y'all.
Hey y'all, want to talk about the Kelpie?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna give Torsten another 2 points for driving discussion on this one because this is this was an interesting look into the Kelpie. In my research for the week, I found an old Inuit creature.
I got my Googling fingers down. Let's go.
I can't pronounce the dang name, so I'm probably gonna butcher it.
Spell it.
The Akhlut, the Akut.
It's pronounced aklut.
A clute. Okay, and it's
Oh,
a
he's pretty.
It's
yeah,
cute.
very pretty.
Acute.
Acute. It's
Acute.
a killer whales type creature that also comes on land in the form of a wolf. It's a wolf killer whale hybrid. It is
Um,
described as being similar to the form of a killer whale and is credited with the power of changing at will to a wolf. After roaming about over the land, it may return to the sea and again become a whale.
but
While in wolf form,
the color pattern is beautiful. It
oh
stays the
yeah,
same as the black and white of the
it's the
killer
black and
whale
white of
is
the killer
wolf.
whale, but it's in wolf form,
Yeah.
and it still has the fin on the back,
Hunter
which
from
is
the Depths. There is
yeah.
a really great story on this one.
Okay, un momento. Let me
Go,
finish
go, 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 go.
my thing. Okay, while in wolf form, it is known by the above, by that name. And the Eskimo say they know that this change takes place as they have seen wolf tracks leading to the edge of the ice, the sea, uh, and ending at the water, or beginning at the edge of the water and leading to the shore. These animals are said to be very fierce and to kill men. Now, there's not a lot of English translation for this creature, but some of the Inuit tales say that it comes in times of great upheaval, when man thinks that they are better than nature. It will come and try to restore balance, which a lot of their creatures tend to do this. When men tend to think they're better than the sea, that they are the kings of the sea, it'll rear its head and attack boats, canoes. It'll come back on land and attack people in the forest that are taking more than their fair share. Um, these animals are quite interesting. I mean, if you look at the any type of interpretation of it, um, it's so cool. Um, I mean, just looking at these things, it's I don't even know how to freaking describe them, because it's a wolf slash orca. Like it harkens back to the times where whales used to be on land in prehistory, before we started, like, really paying attention to things. And I mean, it's really dope. Like, I don't know. I mean, hang on. I'm gonna try and give
So
people a little bit of a visual on this. Here you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Like, they're like, that's a fierce looking creature.
This picture makes it look cuter.
Yeah, that's the one that I saw.
I mean,
So
I wouldn't want to mess with something that looked
no,
like
no, no,
that.
no, 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 no. So
I'm gonna pet
the
it.
stories became very popular in around 1900. American naturalist Edward William Nelson described what the Inuit natives called Kakwanu. Wait, hold on. Kakwanugat Kig Uulu Nick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, he cute.
That's the one I initially saw.
Yeah, but they refer to it as the Aklut. But he wrote down a lot of these stories that they were telling him when he was there, as as a naturalist, writing down the stories of the native species. and he wrote quite a bit about it because apparently the Eskimo and the Inuit peoples had a lot of thoughts on the Aklut.
Yeah, I mean, it's even said that in some renditions, it says that the only the bravest warrior could ride on one.
Oh, it's like Pandora.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you wonder where
Also,
they get a lot of their tales for
in
those
the
Avatar
same
movies.
vein of this same area, same neighborhood, same peoples, the Inuits also have a tale of a white whale that
I saw that.
transforms into a killer reindeer. Like, I'm
Yeah,
down for that one.
I mean, killer
Killer
reindeer. That sounds
reindeer?
pretty dope.
I have a new idea now. I have a story.
A story.
Mhm.
Oh, a new story you're gonna write.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dope.
Apparently I need to not write dirty shit for a little while. So I'm gonna go back to writing like normal people stuff,
Hey,
not
there you go.
adult.
Your
37
adult fan
will
fiction.
be fun.
But I mean, when it comes down to like some of these creatures, like they're very interesting. Torsten did the Kelpies, but also from his native Scotland, you have Nessie,
Mhm.
and like
there's a lot in Scotland.
and there's a couple other ones that are in other locks that are a little bit further away that are exactly like the same as Nessie. That
Yeah. There
that
are
are
a lot
lesser
of
known.
locks in Scotland, but when you think of a body of water in Scotland,
Mhm.
most people will think of Loch Ness.
Oh yeah, I
Straight
mean,
away. It'll be the first thing that they say.
it's the first one that comes to mind as soon as you say Scotland. Everybody's like, "Oh, Loch Ness,"
But
and like
my favourite loch is Loch Lomond.
Of course.
beautiful
Yeah.
loch. I've seen pictures of it. It's very beautiful. But like the whole now, this is where I'm gonna get into this a little bit scientifically. Um, they've done DNA testing of the water in Loch Ness, and and the surrounding lochs, and they found an overabundance of eel DNA.
Yeah.
Which totally blows out the whole theory of a plesiosaur living in a cold ass freshwater loch, because not for nothing, a plesiosaur preferred warmer tropical waters than cold ass freaking freshwater. And I think I've said this before in another episode, but it can't be something as romantic as a plesiosaur. That's a fanciful little idea. When it comes to it, I believe personally, I believe from a scientific standpoint, it has to be a genetic precursor to the conger slash anguilla eels, which would make it much larger, able to survive in fresh water, able to survive in salt water, able to survive all over, and it would be able to navigate the tributaries that go in and out of the loch. It just makes more sense to me that way. Plus, anguilla are able to go on land. A lot of people don't realize this. Some of the land-based sightings of Loch Ness Monster say that it undulated as it went across the road. Well, how does an anguilla move across land? It undulates. It flips. It flops to get across wherever it's got to go across land. So it makes sense that it would be some type of genetic precursor to the eel, to those two types of eels that actually frequent Loch Ness and the surrounding lochs. That's my personal opinion. That's my personal scientific opinion. And one that's actually shared by a lot of cryptozoologists out there now that are saying, from a scientific standpoint, you have to look at legit science when it comes to thinking about this creature.
Yeah. I want to do 3 honorable mention water
Okay.
cryptids. First is the Mokele Membe.
Okay. But also that one's also land-based too.
It's land and water. It's from it's been cited in Congo, Cameroon, and Gabon.
Primarily out of the Congo, though. Deep river
Primarily.
valleys in there is the blocker of rivers.
Yes.
It does not like hippos.
No, it does not.
And evidently, if you
So-
eat the flesh of a Mokele Mbembe, you will get deathly ill.
Yes. Yes. So he is very interesting. He's very dinosaurish. It's
Very,
same
very
thing with
sauropod.
dinosaurish. The second honorable mention is the Alaskan Palrayuk.
Alrayuk.
Palrayuk. He's a very strange creature. He's got like snake and then a ball, then snake and then a ball, then snake and then a ball. Like
Interesting.
he almost looks like anal beads, like, to be honest. Like that's
That was my thought.
No
Look.
comment.
look. How do you want me to describe it? Like, look him
That's
up.
the best way to describe it, I
Palrayuk.
guess. We're
Moving
dangerously
on.
going into
We wait.
your fan
it's
fiction.
been 40 minutes. It has 3 pairs of legs, each end in mammalian paws, 2 heads resembling those of a fox, twin tails, short horns, 3 stomachs, thick fur, a long tongue, a tail resembling that of a dolphin or a dolphin's fluke. A serrated ridge that runs the length of its back and complete with a trio of dorsal fins. This guy is a weirdo. Like,
Yeah.
somebody was
Definitely.
super high when they said, "Oh, dude, I saw this thing in the water."
Hey, man, ain't nothing to do up in Alaska.
Yeah, and then my final honorable mention is the Dope Chew from Ireland.
Okay. All right.
Giant carnivorous lake monster that lives in Ireland. Half dog, half fish, and a little bit of an eel-like creature with a weasel and otter-like face, resembling a waterfowl.
That's a strange one as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So
also a giant otter that lives there too.
Yeah, but those were like 3 that every time I would do research into water cryptids, like I would just see some weird stuff, and I was like, "What in the literal hell is that?"
Interesting.
Not even figurative; it was literal.
Okay. Now I want to do some
Yes.
honorable mentions here. Ones that were not mentioned: the classic mermaid.
My story
merman.
mentioned them briefly.
Yeah,
She did. She said mermaid.
I know, but we didn't go into depth. Mermaids, the aquatic ape theory, and all that crap. I don't subscribe to the.
What about that
aquatic ape theory.
Discovery Channel show where they like, "Oh, we found mermaids," and then
Yeah,
like,
mermaids, the body
fictional-
found, the mockumentary.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Ooh, Mongolian death worm. I'm going down that.
No, hey, we're not going down.
Hold on.
Save that for next week.
Sidetracked.
Save that for next week.
I just wanted to quickly show a visual representation of the Kelpie statue.
Oh, I have seen that.
Those are dope.
I think I have a picture of that somewhere. I didn't know those were Kelpies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
Yeah,
I have a picture of me standing in front of that one.
okay.
Yeah.
Also, honorable mention: the sirens, which are very different. They're different than mermaids.
As a siren.
they can go to hell in a handcart.
Yeah. Mermaids and sirens sometimes get lumped together, but they're not. They're actually 2 entirely different species. The siren tends to supposedly inhabits the more abyssal zone, whereas mermaids are in the hydropelagic zone of the ocean. So it's a deep dwelling, like really eerie looking fucking creature. Sirens are also known as the ultimate mimic because of they are able to mimic the sounds of crying children, crying women, and make sailors crash their boats on nearby rocks in order to eat them. So that's pretty interesting.
I've also been described that way.
You definitely are a siren. Anyway,
An artist rendition of a full kelpie.
that's wild.
That's really pretty.
I wonder if I could get a license to have that as a pet.
No.
I do
have a
have
cat.
one.
If I
singular
can't have
honorable
a bear, you can't have a
Your
kelpie.
wife said you can't have a bear. I can convince my husband that I can have a kelpie.
Listen, you got too many
We already
cats as
have
it
8
is.
cats.
Yeah, and that kelpie will eat all 8 of your cats.
Not if I give it snacks.
It'll still
But
eat
you're going to
cats.
need a very large body of water.
I
She
live in
lives in Virginia Beach.
It can hang out in the Chesapeake with Chessie. I just want him to live here in like a little tiny form. And then I'll put him outside and he can get bigger and he can go over there and swim and eat things. And this is going to go downhill. So I'm just going to let it go.
Okay, squirrel. Anyway, the next honorable mention, Ogopogo.
Oh, ooh, Ogopogo. Yeah, he cute.
The Ogopogo is an interesting piece of native lore that became part of the Canadian commerce there on Lake what the hell's the name?
Like Ogopogo?
No, it's not Lake Ogopogo. Hang on here. I had
Okanagan.
Okanagan.
Is it Okanagan or Okanogan?
It's Okanagan.
You're Okanagan.
I'm gonna Okanagan you in a minute.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's.
Wait, oh, don't do that.
I mean, it's really become part of like the entire like commerce of Lake Okanagan, and it's. I mean, they have statues of the thing. There's multiple sightings. When it comes to Ogopogo, I'm quasi convinced based off of one photo in particular.
It's a bear.
No, this photo in particular.
That looks like a dog swimming in the water.
Yeah, an upside down one at that. 2 of them
Okay.
sitting next to each other.
Now, this photo, the photo that they took from 12 feet away.
I would like some more information on the photo. Where was it?
Okay,
Where
now
was it? Was it an actual photograph? Was it digital? Was it remastered?
Okay, now that particular photo, you can find out some more information on that photo. It's hang on one second. The best one that I've found is from Small Town Monsters here on YouTube. They did a really interesting video. It's called "Is This the Best Evidence of Ogopogo?"
I see it. I've got it on Global News.
They did a full-on documentary of it. Which is available out there for purchase and whatnot. But the 9-minute video clip of the whole thing, the people who took the picture explain what they saw.
Okay, just here's the Michelle, like the editing. There's no way that this isn't photoshopped. Look at the water. Just look at
Now,
the water around it. There's
listen,
no way.
they've had the photo analyzed. People say that it is not photoshopped. So, take of it what you will, but I mean, it's a compelling photo. I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty. It's hard for me to sit there and not consider it, if that makes any sense, when it comes to the Legend of Ogopogo. Um, Personally, when it comes to water beasts, you'd never know, because water. I mean, all the water on this planet, we've barely scratched the surface when it comes to exploring.
All right, I found a website where cryptozoology, someone has done some research, and it looks like this is an upside down waterfowl. The feet, the flipper feet.
Yeah. The people who actually saw it said the body went on for a little while. It is not an upside down waterfowl, and they've been on the water most of their lives, so they wouldn't be swayed by a waterfowl upside down. I mean, I look at the photo, I see an actual animal. I mean, I see some type of actual animal. There's no way that that's a waterfowl upside down. Plus, you can see the body of it kind of goes underneath it and away, so it's like almost at the surface. I mean, but that's my own opinion.
Yeah.
You can take with that what you will, but
So the word
that's why
for
we're here
that
on Cryptid
is
Conversations.
it's motivated perception. If you're familiar with that terminology for
Yeah,
psychology, it's motivated perception. You're perceiving it to be what you are motivated for it to be, which I've no problem with that. It's everyone has their own things that they're going to see and believe. The pareidolia effect on
yeah,
certain. So you're going to see what you're going to see. You can't once you see it, it's hard to unsee.
yeah,
Once your brain has convinced yourself that that is what you see, it's that same picture with the rabbit and the duck. Have you seen that one? Where if you
yeah,
look at it one way, you see the rabbit, but if you look at it upside down, it's the duck. Like
yeah.
once you see one of those things, it's hard for your brain to go back and say that's not what this is.
Exactly.
So
And
I
like, I'm willing to suspend disbelief, just
I mean, because I
because.
think we all need to be able to suspend disbelief. Like I'm a picker. I just want to I want to like see what else can I figure out about this. I want to know what else is going on.
Well, and another thing is, with that photo, he, they say it's a waterfowl upside down in the water, right? Okay, I can understand their way of thinking on that, but at the same time, if you look at it real close, there are genetic, like, markers for waterfowl, and when they go underwater, their feathers streamline. They don't flay out.
Sometimes depends on what they're doing, where they're doing it. If
If
they're
they're
diving,
Even if they flip upside down, their feathers streamline for an easier dip under the water. I mean, you're talking to a guy who's lived on a lake his entire life. You know,
you're a water cryptid.
I'm both land and water, but
Except you
you
don't go
know,
in the water anymore.
I don't go in lakes anymore. I just don't. Um, in my old age, I've decided that I like land better. Anyway, um, but yeah, when it comes to these things, I mean, with any cryptid creature, you have to suspend a little bit of disbelief. I think, because y- these things are part of lore. They are part of culture, not only our culture, but also native histories. I mean, that's my particular thought on it, you know. But hey, anybody else got anything to say on that?
I have a lot of things to say, but not really. It's been a long day.
Been a very long day.
It's been a long day.
Get
I
to
had a kid's birthday party this morning, so
Oh, bless you.
my bestie's baby turned 7.
Ah, great age.
That picture is a good that you were showing, Blue. It's a good example of what's known as scotoma.
Yep.
It's a blind spot.
Yeah.
Also used in the Da Vinci Code. Mind sees what it sees.
Okay, now
Yep.
I found a better picture of it, where you can actually see the edge of the boat.
Yeah, I saw the same one. But again, I don't know. I don't trust implicitly with everybody who like. I saw it on the internet, so it must be true.
Well, you know, and like I said, there's an air of suspending disbelief when it comes to these things. I mean, I'm open to it. I'm open to to anything when it comes to how people deal with things. But at the end of the day, is it real? Who am I to say?
Don't know.
I'm just some schmuck on the internet.
You are a schmuck on the internet. Were you expecting anything different from me today?
All four of us are schmucks on the internet because we're all here.
Sure.
Anyway. Okay, so
Yeah,
next
I'm
week,
just
folks.
a schmuck on the internet. You are just a schmuck.
Shut up, you dick. Anyway.
Asshole.
That's Mr. Asshole, thank you.
Wait, who won?
Well, I'm getting to that. Hang on. Let's discuss it for next week. Next week's episode. We had a couple of suggestions. Jasper, what was your suggestion?
I was going to go with woodland based.
Woodland based. Torsten, what was your suggestion, sir?
Flying.
Michelle?
Cryptids that can fly.
I second flying cryptids.
Okay, well, that's 2 for flying, 1 for forest, and myself, I'm going to abstain from choosing, but it seems that the flyings have it. 2-1, Jasper. So we're gonna go with flying cryptids next week. This should prove to be interesting because there are several flying cryptids out there. So, with that being said, our winner for this week is Captain Kelpie himself, Torsten.
Thank you. I'm here all weekend.
We
Don't
know
ask me
you are
about the
because you have
week.
no life. Anyway,
Whoa!
Do you want me to go punch him? I'll do it. I'll take one for the team and go.
you
up
are
there.
not driving 6 hours to come punch me. Anyway,
What me?
so with that being said, Torsten, congratulations on your victory. Would you like to do a victory speech, sir?
I'd like to thank the Academy,
There
my
you
friends, my very very humble hosts, and other members of the panel, and thank you to our viewers as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, very much.
For
Michelle, would you
coming
like to do a
along and
loser speech?
listening to us.
I have for you this roll of tape
To cover my mouth.
because that, yeah. No.
Okay, folks.
I legitimately, between the Kelpie and the one that Jasper brought up, like those two were really interesting. I really enjoyed those.
I do enjoy those very well. Personally, I thought that The clue was
It wasn't
pretty cool,
occlude
too.
enough to be winners.
Wasn't occlude enough to be a winner.
Wasn't occlude enough.
But we'll figure it out eventually. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on Cryptid Conversations, only on the Legends Cave. Stay tuned for next week's episode, Flying Cryptids.
Well, don't stay tuned right now
Well,
because, like,
you
we're gonna
know,
have to
they
go for.
They can go
Little
back
bit.
and watch other
Well-
stuff.
Mm.
They can
And
watch
don't
the
forget
previous
to
episodes.
like, comment, share, and and smash that subscribe button.
Oh, did
Yes.
he really just say smash? Smash and
Smash it.
smash it.
Smash.
And with
Yeah.
that, folks, I'm going to say this. If you can't be good, be bad. And if you're going to be bad, at least be good at it. We'll catch you in the next episode next week. Same bad time, same bad channel, only here on the Legends Cave. This has been Cryptid Conversations with Blue and the crew. Catch you next week.